Business owner, 35 years building an empire. Net worth, $18 million. But at my son's wedding, they gave me one job: serve the drinks, clear the tables, stay in the background. They didn't know who I really was. And when they found out, oh, honey, let me tell you what happened next. My name is Gloria Hayes. I'm 58 years old, and this is the story of how my daughter-in-law tried to turn me into the help at my own son's wedding. It started 2 years ago when Marcus brought Sienna home for the first time. Now, I raised my boy right. After his father died when Marcus was just 7, I worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. Cleaned offices at night, sold cosmetics on weekends, and during the day, I was studying for my real estate license. Because I know something my mama taught me. You can't wait for opportunities, you create them. By the time Marcus graduated high school, I owned my first property, a small duplex in East Atlanta. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. And while he was in college, then law school, I kept building, buying, renovating, selling, buying again. One property became 5, 5 became 15, 15 became a portfolio worth more than most people see in 3 lifetimes. But here's the thing about me. I never believed in showing off. I drove a 10-year-old Honda Accord, lived in the same modest 3-bedroom house I bought 20 years ago, wore clothes from Marshalls and TJ Maxx, because wealth isn't about what you show. It's about what you build. And I built something real. Marcus knew all this, of course. He saw me work, saw me hustle, saw me turn nothing into something. But when he brought Sienna home that Sunday afternoon in April, I could tell right away. He hadn't told her anything about me, about us, about where we came from or where we were going. "Mom," Marcus said, his voice too bright, too nervous. "This is Sienna. Sienna, this is my mother, Gloria." Sienna was beautiful, I'll give her that. Dark skin that glowed like she spent her mornings at expensive spas, hair laid perfectly in a silk press that probably cost $300, designer bag, designer shoes, and designer attitude to match. "Hi, Mrs. Hayes," she said, but her eyes were already scanning my house. I watched her take in the worn sofa, the outdated kitchen, the family photos and cheap frames on the walls, and I saw it. That look, the judgment, the disappointment, the subtle shift in her expression that said, "This is what my man came from?" "It's nice to meet you, baby," I said, pulling her into a hug she clearly didn't want. "Marcus has told me so much about you." "Has he?" She glanced at Marcus. "That's funny. He hasn't told me much about you at all." The first red flag, but I ignored it because my son was happy, smiling, holding her hand like she was the most precious thing in the world. And what mother wants to ruin that? We sat down for lunch. I made my famous fried chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, and cornbread. The kind of meal that takes hours to prepare. The kind of meal that says, "I care. I love you. You're welcome in my home." Sienna picked at her plate like I'd served her prison food. "Is something wrong, sweetheart?" I asked. "Oh, no, Mrs. Hayes. It's just I don't really eat fried food or carbs. I'm very conscientious about my body." She patted her flat stomach. "You know how it is." "No, baby, I don't know how it is. Because when I was your age, I was grateful for any food on the table." But I didn't say that. I smiled, I nodded, I cleared her barely touched plate and pretended not to notice the way she whispered something to Marcus that made him tense up. After they left, I called my best friend Janet. "Girl, I don't know about this one," I told her. "What happened?" She looked at my house like it was a crime scene, didn't eat my food, and Janet, the way she looked at me, like I was beneath her. "Give her time, Gloria. Maybe she was just nervous." I wanted to believe that. I really did. But over the next 6 months, things only got worse. Sienna never came back to my house. Every time I invited them for dinner, she had an excuse. "We're so busy, Mrs. Hayes. We've got plans. Maybe next month." But when I saw her Instagram, she was out every weekend. Fancy restaurants, rooftop bars, parties with her influencer friends, just never with me. And then came the Christmas incident. Marcus called me 3 days before Christmas. Mom, can we do Christmas at your place this year? Sienna's parents are coming to Atlanta and we want everyone to eat. Finally, I thought. Finally, I get to be included. I spent 2 days cooking turkey, ham, dressing, sweet potato pie, peach cobbler. I decorated my little house until it looked like a Hallmark movie. I even bought a new outfit from Macy's. A nice burgundy dress, nothing flashy, but respectable. Christmas Day arrived. I had everything ready by 2 o'clock. The table was set for 8 people, me, Marcus, Sienna, her parents, her younger sister, and her sister's boyfriend. They showed up at 3:30, an hour and a half late. No call, no text, just showed up like their time was more valuable than mine. Sorry we're late, Mrs. Hayes, Sienna said, not sounding sorry at all. We had brunch with some friends. Behind her came her family, and Lord have mercy. Sienna's mother, Patricia Mitchell, walked into my house like she was inspecting property she was thinking about buying. Designer everything, diamonds that could pay off a mortgage, and an expression that said she smelled something rotten. Oh, Patricia said, looking around. This is quaint. Quaint. That's the word rich people use when they want to call something cheap without sounding rude. Her husband, Richard, barely spoke to me, just a cold handshake and a nod before he found a seat in my living room and pulled out his phone. The sister, Essence, was glued to her phone recording everything for her Instagram story. I heard her whisper to her boyfriend, "This is so retro, like vintage poor." They laughed, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Shame. In my own home, about the life I built with my own hands. Dinner was uncomfortable. The Mitchells sat at my table picking at my food the same way Sienna had 6 months earlier. Patricia kept talking about their house in Buckhead, their vacation home in Martha's Vineyard, the private school Essence attended growing up. "What about you, Gloria?" Patricia finally asked, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "What do you do?" "I'm in real estate," I said simply. "Oh, you sell houses? That's nice. It's such a tough market right now, isn't it?" I didn't correct her. Didn't tell her I didn't sell houses. I owned them. 53 properties across Atlanta. Because I learned a long time ago, let people underestimate you. You'll surprise them later. After dinner, while I was clearing plates, I overheard Patricia talking to Sienna in the kitchen. "Honey, are you sure about this?" "About what, Mom?" "About Marcus. I mean, look at where he comes from. This house, his mother. Do you really want to tie yourself to this?" My hands froze on the plate I was holding. "Mom, Marcus is successful. He's a lawyer. He makes good money." "But what about his family, Sienna? You marry the family, not just the man. And this?" I heard her make a disgusted sound. "This is not what I envisioned for you." I put the plate down quietly and walked into the kitchen. Both women jumped. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice steady, even though my heart was pounding. "I'm sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to bring these to the sink." Patricia had the decency to look embarrassed, but only for a second. Then that cold, superior expression slid back into place. "Gloria, I was just telling Sienna how lovely your home is. So humble, so simple." Humble, simple. More rich people words for poor. They left an hour later. The Mitchells didn't say thank you, didn't help clean up, just walked out of my house like they'd done me a favor by showing up. Marcus stayed behind for a moment. Mom, I'm sorry they were late. It's okay, baby. And I'm sorry if they seemed, I don't know, they're just used to a different kind of lifestyle. I looked at my son, my brilliant, successful, beautiful son, and I saw something that broke my heart. He was apologizing for me, for my house, for the life I built to give him everything. Marcus, do they know what I do? What I've built? He shifted uncomfortably. I mean, I told Sienna you're in real estate. Did you tell her what that means? Did you tell her about the business, the properties? Mom, it's not about the money. Sienna doesn't care about that. But she did. They all did. Because 3 weeks later, Marcus called with news. Mom, I proposed. Sienna said yes. We're getting married. I should have been happy. I should have screamed with joy. Instead, I felt a knot form in my stomach. That's wonderful, baby. Congratulations. Thanks, Mom. Hey, Sienna wants to talk to you about the wedding. She has some ideas. Some ideas. Those 2 words should have warned me about what was coming. 2 days after the engagement, Sienna called me. Not to share excitement, not to ask for my blessing, but to talk about money. Mrs. Hayes, we need to discuss your contribution to the wedding. Contribution? Not would you like to help, just this is what you owe us? Of course, sweetheart. What are you thinking? Well, my parents are covering most of it. The venue, catering, flowers, photographer. But we thought maybe you could contribute $5,000 for the rehearsal dinner. $5,000. She said it like it was nothing. 5,000 sounds fine, I said. Oh, okay, great. She sounded surprised, like she expected me to say no. I'll text you the Venmo. The Venmo. Not even a proper invoice, like I was splitting a brunch bill. I sent the money that same day. You know what? I never heard a thank you. Not a text, not a call, nothing. But 3 weeks later, Sienna posted on Instagram about her dream wedding that her parents were blessing her with. My $5,000? Invisible. Then came the first wedding planning meeting. Patricia had arranged it at some fancy restaurant in Buckhead. The kind where a salad costs $30 and they give you 3 pieces of lettuce. I showed up on time, wearing a nice pantsuit from Ann Taylor. But the moment I walked in, I knew I'd made a mistake. Patricia, Sienna, Essence, and 2 of Sienna's friends were already there, all in designer clothes, all looking at me like I'd walked into the wrong restaurant. Gloria, Patricia said, her smile tight, like she doubted I would. I sat at the only empty chair at the end of the table, away from everyone else. And for the next 2 hours, I watched them plan my son's wedding without asking me a single question. We're thinking blush and gold for the colors. The venue holds 300 guests. We've hired the best wedding planner in Atlanta. I just sat there, nodding, smiling, invisible. Finally, Patricia turned to me. Gloria, do you have any thoughts? Well, I was wondering if Marcus has any say in this. Does he like these colors? The table went quiet. Sienna laughed, sharp, fake. Mrs. Hayes, the groom doesn't really get involved in these details. This is the bride's day. Of course, I said. I just thought. Besides, I'm sure Marcus trusts Sienna's taste. She has a very refined eye. Refined. Another word. Another little cut. Over the next 4 months, I was left out of everything. Dress shopping, cake tasting, venue tours. I found out from Marcus, always after they happened. Mom, we picked the venue yesterday. You should see it. I would have loved to come, baby. I know, but it was kind of last minute. Sienna's mom just arranged it. Last minute. But somehow Patricia and all of Sienna's friends got invited. Then one day, 6 weeks before the wedding, a package arrived. No note, just a box, with a dress inside. It was black, plain, cheap fabric, the kind you buy at a discount store for $40. It looked like a uniform. My phone rang. Sienna. Hi, Mrs. Hayes. Did you get the package? Yes. Great. So I picked that dress out for you for the wedding. I'm doing a specific color palette, and I need all the mothers to coordinate. My mom is wearing champagne, and I thought you'd look nice in black. Black. While her mother wore champagne, while bridesmaids wore blush and gold, while everyone else got to shine, I was supposed to fade into the background. Sienna, I actually already bought a dress, a beautiful burgundy gown. Oh, Mrs. Hayes, I really need you to wear the dress I sent you. It's important for the photos. You understand? No, I didn't understand. But what could I say? Okay, sweetheart, I'll wear the dress. Thank you, you're the best. I hung up and stared at that dress, and I knew this wasn't about color coordination. This was about putting me in my place. I called Janet. They sent you a uniform, she said, angry. It's not a uniform. Gloria, wake up. That girl is trying to make you invisible at your own wedding, son. 2 weeks before the wedding, Marcus came to visit, alone. Mom, I need to ask you something. Anything, baby. Sienna wants to know if you can come to the venue early on the wedding day, around 2 o'clock. The wedding starts at 6, right? Yeah, but they need help setting up, moving chairs, organizing gift tables. I stared at my son. Marcus, they hired a wedding planner. Why do they need me to move chairs? He looked down. I don't know. Sienna just asked if you could help out. Help out. Like I was hired staff. And what did you say? I said I'd ask you. You didn't think it was strange that your mother is being asked to do manual labor at your wedding. Mom, please, don't make this difficult. Can you just do this for me? Can you just accept being treated like nothing for me? I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him everything about the business, about the $18 million, about the 53 properties with his name in the will. But I didn't. Okay, Marcus. I'll be there at 2. He hugged me, thanked me, left. And I sat in my kitchen wondering when I became so small in my own son's eyes. The night before the wedding, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that black dress, about showing up 4 hours early to move chairs, about being invisible. At 3 in the morning, I went to my home office, the room Marcus never asked about. The room with all my business documents, property portfolios, tax returns, showing income that would make the Mitchells choke. I pulled out a folder. Inside was a letter from my accountant. Net worth, $18.3 million. I held that paper and made a decision. Tomorrow, I was going to that wedding. I was going to wear that ugly dress. I was going to show up early and move their chairs. I was going to let them treat me like the help. Because sometimes You have to let people show you exactly who they are. And when they do, you show them exactly who you are. I arrived at the grand Rosewood Estate at exactly 2 o'clock. The venue was beautiful. Rolling green lawns, white columns, chandeliers visible through the tall windows, the kind of place that costs $50,000 just to book. I parked my Honda between a Mercedes and a BMW, smoothed down my black dress, took a deep breath, and walked inside carrying the small gift I'd wrapped for Marcus and Sienna. The moment I stepped through the doors, I heard Patricia's voice. "Oh, good, you're here." She rushed over, but not to hug me, not to thank me for coming early. She handed me a clipboard. "Gloria, we're running a bit behind. Can you check off the centerpieces as they bring them in? Just make sure each table has one. The florist can be scattered sometimes." I stared at the clipboard. "Patricia, I'm not really—" "Oh, and after that, can you make sure the bathrooms are stocked? Extra toilet paper, hand towels, that sort of thing. The coordinator is handling the ceremony space, but we need someone for the reception area." She didn't wait for an answer, just walked away, already shouting instructions at someone else. I stood there holding that clipboard, feeling something cold settle in my chest. But I'd made my decision last night. Let them show me who they are. So I checked the centerpieces. All 42 tables. White roses, gold vases. Each one probably cost $300. I checked bathrooms, stocked paper towels, replaced soap dispensers. At 3:30, the real catering staff started arriving. Young men and women in crisp black and white uniforms. They looked at me confused. One of them, a young black woman about 25, approached me carefully. "Excuse me, ma'am, do you work here?" "No, baby. I'm the groom's mother." Her eyes went wide. "The groom's mother? But they have you checking bathrooms?" I just smiled. Sad. Tired. Apparently, she looked angry for me. That ain't right. No, it's not. By 4 o'clock, guests started arriving early. I was in the reception hall adjusting chairs when I heard Essence's voice behind me. "Oh, perfect. Can you move that gift table closer to the entrance? It looks weird there." I turned around. Essence was filming herself on her phone, barely looking at me. "Essence, maybe we should wait for the venue coordinator. It'll literally take 2 seconds. Just move it." So I moved it. A heavy wooden table loaded with wrapped gifts, by myself, and a cheap dress, while Essence recorded herself talking about her outfit for her 50,000 Instagram followers. At 4:30, Sienna appeared. She looked stunning, hair perfect, makeup flawless, in a white silk robe with "Bride" written on the back in gold letters. She saw me and waved. "Mrs. Hayes, can you do me a huge favor?" Here we go. "My bridesmaids need champagne in the bridal suite. Can you grab a bottle from the bar and bring it up? They're on the second floor, last door on the right." I am not the help. I am not the help. I am not the help. But I said, "Of course, sweetheart." I went to the bar. The bartender looked at me sympathetically as he handed me a bottle of Veuve Clicquot. $400 a bottle. I carried it upstairs on a silver tray like I was room service. When I knocked on the bridal suite door, one of the bridesmaids opened it. Music blasting, girls laughing, Sienna in the center getting her makeup touched up. "Oh, thank you," the bridesmaid said, taking the tray. Then she just closed the door. Didn't invite me in. Didn't say anything else. I stood in that hallway, in that ugly black dress, holding an empty tray. And I felt tears start to burn behind my eyes. But I didn't cry. I went back downstairs. At 5 o'clock, guests were arriving in full force. I watched them walk in. Expensive suits, designer dresses, Patricia greeting everyone in her champagne gown that probably cost $5,000, showing them to their seats, playing the perfect hostess. Nobody introduced me. Nobody said this is Gloria, the groom's mother. I was invisible. Then I saw Marcus, my baby, in his tuxedo, looking so handsome it made my heart hurt. He was talking to his groomsmen, laughing, nervous energy radiating off him. I walked over. Marcus. He turned, saw me, and I watched something flash across his face. Embarrassment? Guilt? I couldn't tell. Hey, Mom, you look nice. Nice. That's all he could say about the uniform his fiancée made me wear. Baby, are you okay? Are you happy? Yeah, Mom, I'm good. Just nervous. I wanted to hug him, wanted to tell him I loved him, wanted to ask him when he stopped seeing me. But his groomsmen were watching, Patricia was watching. This wasn't the time. I'm proud of you, I said quietly. Thanks, Mom. He kissed my cheek quickly, then turned back to his friends. At 5:45, guests were seating themselves for the ceremony. I stood at the back, unsure where to go. At most weddings, the groom's mother gets escorted down the aisle, gets seated in the front row, gets honored. Patricia swooshed past me. Gloria, you can sit anywhere. Find a spot. Find a spot. Like I was a random guest. Like I hadn't given birth to the groom. Like I hadn't raised him alone. Like I hadn't worked 3 jobs so he could have everything. I found a seat. 7th row, behind people I'd never met, behind Patricia's book club friends and Sienna's college roommates and random plus ones who meant nothing to this family. The ceremony started. Sienna walked down the aisle on her father's arm. Richard Mitchell, who barely spoke to me at Christmas, who looked at my house like it was contaminated. She was beautiful, I'll admit it. Glowing, happy, and Marcus looked at her like she hung the moon. They said their vows, kissed, everyone cheered, and I clapped from the 7th row, invisible in my black dress. The reception started at 6:30. That's when things got worse. The venue coordinator was short-staffed. 2 servers called in sick, and somehow Patricia decided the solution was me. Gloria, she grabbed my arm. We need help passing out champagne for the toast. Can you grab a tray? Patricia, I'm a guest. I'm Marcus's mother. It's just for the toast. Please, we're in a crisis here. A crisis. Servers calling in sick was a crisis. But humiliating your son's mother? That was fine. I wanted to say no. I wanted to walk out. But everyone was watching. Marcus was watching. So I went to the kitchen, put on a waiter's apron, picked up a tray of champagne flutes, and walked into that reception hall serving drinks to 300 people who had no idea I was the groom's mother. I moved through the crowd, offering champagne, smiling, playing my part. Thank you so much. You're wonderful. Best service ever. They thought I was hired help. And maybe I was. Maybe that's all I'd ever been to these people. I was near the head table when I heard a voice I recognized. Gloria? Gloria Hayes? I turned, and my heart stopped. Standing there, in a beautiful navy suit, was Diane Cooper. We'd done business together 12 years ago. She was a commercial real estate developer. We'd partnered on a strip mall development in Decatur, made $3 million together. Diane, I said quietly. She looked confused. Looking at me? at the tray, at the apron. What are you working this wedding? Before I could answer, Patricia appeared. Is everything okay? Diane looked at Patricia, then back at me, and I saw the exact moment she understood. I'm sorry, she said slowly. I thought you were someone else. She walked away, and I stood there, holding champagne for strangers at my son's wedding. The toast happened. Patricia gave a speech about her perfect daughter. Richard talked about family legacy. Nobody mentioned me. Marcus thanked everyone. Thanked Sienna's parents. Thanked the wedding planner. Thanked his groomsmen. And of course, thank you to my mom for everything. For everything. 2 words. That's all I got. After Marcus's 2-word thank you, I went back to the kitchen, took off that apron, threw it on a counter, and stood there trying to breathe. A young server, the same girl who asked if I worked here earlier, touched my arm gently. Mrs. Hayes, you okay? I'm fine, baby. No disrespect, ma'am, but you don't look fine. She was right. I wasn't fine. I was 58 years old, successful, powerful, wealthy, and I'd just spent 4 hours being treated like hired help at my own son's wedding. You want some water? She asked. No, thank you. I just need a minute. She nodded and left me alone. I splashed cold water on my face, fixed my makeup, looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Who are you? I asked my reflection. When did you become this small? I went back to the reception, found a table in the corner, sat down, watched. Watched Sienna dance with her father, watched Patricia cry happy tears, watched Marcus laugh with his groomsmen, watched everyone celebrate while I sat alone at table 37 with 2 empty chairs beside me. Then dinner was served. Filet mignon, lobster tail, roasted vegetables, a meal that probably cost $200 per person. Nobody brought me a plate. I sat there watching everyone eat, watching servers move past my table like I didn't exist, until finally I got up and went to the kitchen myself. Excuse me, I said to the catering manager, I think they forgot my dinner. He checked his list, frowned. What table are you at? 37. Table 37 isn't on the seating chart for meals. That's overflow seating for vendors and staff. Vendors and staff. They'd put me at the staff table? I'm the groom's mother, I said quietly. His face went white. Oh my God, ma'am, I'm so sorry. There must be a mistake. Let me get you a plate right now. Don't worry about it. I was already walking away. I walked right out of that reception hall, into the garden area where fairy lights were strung between trees and the night air was cool and quiet. I sat on a stone bench, closed my eyes, and let myself feel everything I'd been holding back all day. Humiliation, anger, grief, and something else. Something that felt like freedom. Because I'd done it. I'd let them show me exactly who they were. And now I could show them exactly who I was. Gloria? I opened my eyes. Diane Cooper stood there, holding 2 plates of food. I figured you might be hungry. I grabbed you dinner. I looked at this woman, this near stranger who showed me more kindness in 5 seconds than my son's new family had all day. Thank you, I whispered. We ate in silence for a minute. Then Diane spoke. How long has this been going on? What do you mean? Gloria, I've known you for over a decade. You're one of the sharpest businesswomen I've ever met. You turned a single duplex into an empire. And tonight, I watched you serve champagne at your own son's wedding. So I'm asking, how long has this been going on? I told her everything. The Christmas dinner, the $5,000, the black dress, being asked to show up early, the bathroom stocking, the gift table, all of it. Diane listened, her face getting harder with every word. When I finished, she said, "Does Marcus know about your business, your net worth?" "Yes, he knows. He never told them." "Why not?" "I don't know. Maybe he's embarrassed. Maybe he wanted them to like him for him, not for what his mother has. Or maybe," Diane said carefully, "maybe he's gotten comfortable with them treating you like nothing." That hit different, because it was true. "They don't know who you are," Diane continued. "You look at your old Honda and your modest house and they think they're better than you. But Gloria, you could buy their Buckhead mansion with cash and still have money left over." "I know. So why haven't you told them?" I thought about that. Really thought about it. Because I wanted to see if they'd love me anyway, if they'd respect me anyway. Without the money, without the status, just me. And they don't. Diane nodded slowly. "So what are you going to do about it?" Before I could answer, we heard voices. Diane and Patricia were walking through the garden. "I mean, I feel bad for Marcus, having to come from that. At least he made something of himself despite his background. Despite my background. Despite me." "And did you see her tonight, wearing that dress, looking so out of place? I actually thought she was one of the servers at first." They laughed. They laughed. And something inside me broke. Not broke down, broke open. I stood up. Diane tried to stop me, but I was already moving. "Patricia," I called out. All three women turned, saw me standing there, and I watched Patricia's face go through several emotions. Surprise, embarrassment, then that cold superiority sliding back into place. "Gloria, we were just taking a walk. Beautiful garden, isn't it?" "I heard what you said." Silence. Her friends looked at each other uncomfortably. "I'm sure you misunderstood." "I heard every word. About my background, about me looking for handouts, about keeping distance from me." "Gloria, this is not the time." "You're right. It's not. It's my son's wedding day, and I've spent it checking bathrooms, moving furniture, and serving drinks because you decided that's what I'm good for. We asked you to help because we were short-staffed. You asked me to help because you think I'm beneath you. You think I'm poor. You think I'm desperate. You think I'm someone to be tolerated for Marcus's sake." Patricia's face was red now. "This is completely inappropriate. What's inappropriate is putting the groom's mother at the staff table. What's inappropriate is not feeding her dinner. What's inappropriate is treating someone like garbage because you assume they have nothing." One of the friends touched Patricia's arm. "Maybe we should go back inside." "No," I said. "Stay. I want you to hear this. All of you." Diane had come up behind me, standing there like backup, like support. "You want to know about my background, Patricia? Let me tell you. I raised Marcus alone after my husband died, worked 3 jobs, put myself through real estate school, started with nothing, and I built something." "That's admirable," Patricia said condescendingly. "Really. But I own 53 properties in Atlanta, residential, commercial, mixed-use developments. My portfolio is worth $42 million. My liquid assets, $18.3 million. And that modest little house you look down on at Christmas, I bought it with cash 20 years ago. It's worth $800,000 now." Patricia's mouth fell open.
So when you talk about me looking for handouts, when you laugh about my background, when you put me at the staff table and make me serve champagne, just remember, I could buy everything you own and not even notice the money leaving my account. You're lying, she stammered. Diane stepped forward. She's not. I've done business with Gloria for over a decade. Everything she just said is true. Actually, she's being modest. Her net worth is probably closer to 50 million now. The friends were staring, speechless. Why didn't you tell us? Patricia whispered. Because I wanted to see if you'd treat me with basic human decency without knowing. Turns out, you can't. I walked past them, back towards the reception hall, but I wasn't done. Not even close.
I walked back into that reception hall with Diane beside me and Patricia trailing behind, her face pale as snow. The party was in full swing. Music pumping, people dancing, Marcus and Sienna and the center of the dance floor lost in their own world. I stood at the edge, watching, feeling that broken open thing inside me getting wider, stronger. Diane leaned close. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Gloria, you don't have to do anything. You can just leave, walk out. You don't owe these people anything. She was right. I could leave, go home, pretend this never happened, keep being small and quiet and invisible. But I'd been small and quiet and invisible for 2 years. And where did that get me? I'm not leaving, I said. The song ended. The DJ called for everyone's attention. All right, folks, we've got a special moment coming up, the Mother's Son Dance. My heart jumped. Nobody told me about a Mother's Son Dance. Nobody asked what song I wanted. Nobody even confirmed I'd be here. Marcus looked around the room, found me in the corner. Our eyes met. And I saw him hesitate. Saw him look at Sienna, at Patricia, at his groomsmen, like he was calculating something. Then he walked over, slowly, like a man walking to his execution. Hey, Mom, he said quietly. I guess we're supposed to dance. I guess. Like it was an inconvenience. We don't have to, baby, if you don't want to. No, it's fine. Come on. He led me to the dance floor. The DJ started playing A Song from Mama by Boyz II Men, a beautiful song, a song about gratitude and love and everything a son should feel for his mother. Marcus put his hand on my waist, took my other hand, and we started swaying. He wouldn't look at me. Marcus, I said softly. Yeah? Look at me. He did, finally, and I saw tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, Mom. For what? For all of it. For not protecting you. For letting them treat you like that. For being a coward. The song played, we danced, and I felt my anger soften just a little. Why didn't you tell them about me? I asked. About the business. About what I built. I don't know. At first, I thought it didn't matter. I wanted Sienna to love me for me, not for what my family has. But then, he trailed off. But then what? Then they assumed. They looked at your house and your car, and they made assumptions. And I just let them because it was easier. Then explaining. Easier for who, Marcus? He didn't answer. The song continued, and I made a decision. I love you, I told my son. I will always love you, but I will not be disrespected anymore. Not by them, and not by you. Mom, I'm serious. What happened today, that can never happen again. Do you understand? He nodded. I understand, and I'm going to fix it. I promise. The song ended. People clapped. Marcus hugged me tight. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. He walked back to Sienna, and I walked back to my corner where Diane was waiting with champagne. Well? She asked.
He apologized. That's a start. It's not enough. Diane smiled. No, it's not. We stood there sipping champagne when I saw Patricia heading straight for me. Her face was a mess of emotions, embarrassment, anger, confusion. Gloria, we need to talk privately. No. Excuse me? I said no. Whatever you need to say, you can say it right here. Patricia glanced nervously. Fine, I want to apologize for any misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? You put me at the staff table, Patricia. You didn't feed me dinner. You made me serve drinks. That's not a misunderstanding. That's deliberate disrespect. I didn't know. If I had known about your situation, things would have been different. And there it was, the thing that made me angrier than anything else. Your situation? You mean my money? I mean your success, your business. If you had known, you would have treated me like a human being. So what does that say about how you treat people you think have nothing? Patricia's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. I don't want your apology, Patricia, because you're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry that you did it to someone who has more money than you. That's not fair. What's not fair is judging people based on their car or their house or their clothes. What's not fair is deciding someone's worth based on their bank account. More people were watching now. The music had gotten quieter. Conversations were stopping. Sienna appeared, still in her wedding dress, looking concerned. What's going on? Mom, why are you arguing with Mrs. Hayes? Mrs. Hayes. Not Gloria, not Marcus's mother. Mrs. Hayes, like I was a stranger. Your mother and I are having a discussion, I said calmly. This is my wedding day. Can you please not cause drama? Drama. I looked at this girl, this beautiful, spoiled, entitled girl who convinced my son I wasn't worth basic respect. Sienna, did you know that I own 53 properties in Atlanta? She blinked. Confused. What? Properties. Real estate. I'm not just in real estate, I own it. $42 million worth. I don't understand. Your mother assumed I was poor, based on my car and my house. She treated me like hired help because she thought I was beneath her. And you? You sent me a $40 dress and made me show up 4 hours early to move chairs because you thought I was nothing. The room was completely quiet now. Everyone watching, listening. Marcus pushed through the crowd. Mom, can we please not do this here? When should we do it, Marcus? When should I stop accepting disrespect? Tomorrow? Next month? Never. Sienna's face had gone from confused to horrified. Mrs. Hayes, I didn't mean if I had known. There it is again. If you had known. But you should have treated me with respect regardless. I'm your husband's mother. I raised him alone, worked myself to the bone to give him everything, and you treated me like garbage. I didn't mean to. Yes, you did. You absolutely did. You looked at me and decided I wasn't worth your time or your kindness. You decided I should be grateful for whatever scraps you threw my way. Tears were running down Sienna's face now. Marcus was standing between us, looking torn. Diane touched my arm. Gloria, maybe that's enough. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. I looked around at all those faces. 300 people in designer clothes and expensive jewelry, all of them judging me 2 minutes ago, all of them looking at me different now. I came here today to celebrate my son's marriage. I wore the dress his wife sent me. I did everything they asked because I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd see past their assumptions and treat me like family. I looked at Marcus. But family doesn't treat family this way. Family doesn't make you invisible. Family doesn't seat you with the staff. Family doesn't laugh about your background behind your back. Mom, please. Marcus's voice broke. I love you, baby. But I love myself too. And I'm done being small for people who can't see my worth. I set down my champagne glass, picked up my purse. Congratulations on your wedding. I hope you'll be very happy together. And I walked out. Through the silent crowd, past the decorated tables, past the fairy lights, and the flowers, and the happily ever after that wasn't meant for me. Diane followed. Gloria, wait! I stopped at the door, turned back one last time. Marcus was standing in the middle of the dance floor. Sienna was crying into her hands. Patricia looked like she'd been slapped. And 300 people were staring at the woman in the cheap black dress who just told them all exactly who she was. You coming? I asked Diane. She grinned. Hell yes. We walked out together into the night air.
Diane drove me home that night. My Honda was still sitting in that parking lot between the Mercedes and the BMW, but I couldn't bring myself to go back for it. I'll have someone pick it up tomorrow, Diane said. We sat in my driveway, engine off, street quiet, just two women in fancy dresses at midnight on a Saturday. You okay? She asked. I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen. Or the stupidest. No. Diane turned to face me. Gloria, I've watched you negotiate million-dollar deals without blinking. But tonight you stood up for yourself in front of everyone. That takes a different kind of courage. I looked at my house. My modest, paid-off, $800,000 house that everyone judged me for. I ruined my son's wedding, I whispered. No, you told the truth at your son's wedding. There's a difference. Maybe, but it didn't feel different. It felt like I'd just blown up my relationship with Marcus, with my only child, my whole world. Diane hugged me before she left. Call me if you need anything, and I mean anything. I went inside, took off that ugly black dress, threw it in the trash, and sat in my living room in the dark until the sun came up. My phone started ringing at 7 a.m. Marcus. I didn't answer. He called 6 more times that day, left voicemails. Mom, please pick up. Mom, we need to talk about what happened. Mom, Sienna is really upset. Sienna is upset. Not, I'm sorry. Not, you were right. Just, Sienna is upset. I turned off my phone. Janet came over that afternoon with food I didn't eat and sympathy I couldn't accept. Girl, the way you walked out of there, she was proud, excited, like I'd done something amazing. But I didn't feel amazing. I felt empty. Have you talked to Marcus? She asked. No. Are you going to? I don't know. What was I supposed to say? Sorry for telling the truth? Sorry for not letting your wife treat me like trash? Sorry for having self-respect? Days turned into weeks. Marcus kept calling. I kept not answering. He sent texts. Mom, please, can we just talk? I know you're angry, but this is killing me. Sienna wants to apologize. That last one made me laugh. A bitter, sad laugh. Sienna wants to apologize now, after she got caught,
After everyone knows, not because she actually felt sorry, but because she was embarrassed. Week 3, Marcus showed up at my house. I watched through the window as he knocked, called my name, knocked again. I didn't open the door. He sat on my porch for an hour, just sat there. I watched him through the curtain, this grown man in a suit, looking lost and broken. Finally, he left. That night, I cried for the first time since the wedding. Deep, ugly sobs that came from somewhere dark, because I missed my son, missed him so much it physically hurt. But I missed the son who used to defend me, the son who was proud of me, the son who didn't let his wife treat me like hired help. I didn't miss the man who apologized to Sienna instead of protecting his mother. Month 2 brought a letter, hand-delivered by Marcus, left in my mailbox. Dear Mom, I don't know what else to do. You won't answer my calls, won't see me. I'm trying to respect your space, but it's been 8 weeks and I'm falling apart. You were right about everything. I let them treat you terribly and I said nothing. I was ashamed of that before you walked out, and I'm even more ashamed now. Sienna's family has barely spoken to us since the wedding. Half the guests left right after you did. People are talking, saying we humiliated you. They're right. I don't care about any of that. I just care about you, about us. Please, Mom, please let me fix this. I love you. Marcus. I read that letter 50 times, cried over it, slept with it on my nightstand, but I didn't respond. Because love isn't enough. Not when it comes with humiliation. Not when it asks you to be smaller so other people can be comfortable. Month 3, my birthday came. 59 years old. Janet threw me a small party. Just her, Diane, and 2 other friends from my business network. We ate cake, drank wine, talked about everything except Marcus. Until Diane asked the question everyone was thinking. How long are you going to do this? Do what? Punish him. I set down my wine glass. I'm not punishing him. I'm protecting myself. From your own son? From being disrespected, from being treated like I'm less than, from... My voice cracked. From hoping he'll choose me and being disappointed when he doesn't. The room got quiet. Diane said softly, He's called me, asked me to talk to you. He's desperate, Gloria. Good. Is it? Is that what you want? For him to suffer? I want him to understand, to really understand what he allowed to happen. Jenna reached across the table, took my hand. Baby, I think he understands. The question is, do you want to forgive him? Did I? I honestly didn't know. That night, after everyone left, I sat in my office, the room Marcus never asked about, surrounded by documents showing everything I'd built, everything I'd accomplished. I pulled out my phone, turned it on for the 3rd time in 3 days. 87 missed calls, 63 text messages, all from Marcus, except for 3. Those 3 were from Sienna. Mrs. Hayes, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I was cruel and judgmental and wrong. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Marcus spoke again. Will you read the letter? Now? While I'm here? I looked at the envelope in my hands. Part of me was scared. Scared of more apologies that didn't mean anything. Scared of excuses. Scared of being disappointed again. But this was my son. And he was trying. I opened the envelope and read, Dear Mom, my therapist asked me to write down the moment I started being ashamed of you. I told her there wasn't one, that I was never ashamed. She said to try harder. So I did, And I found it. I was 14. We were at the mall. You were still working 3 jobs back then, exhausted all the time. We ran into some kids from my school, rich kids. They were with their parents, carrying shopping bags from expensive stores. One of them asked what you did for work. You said you cleaned offices. You said it proud, like it was something to be respected. And it was. But I saw the way they looked at you, at us, and I felt something ugly inside me. Embarrassment. I was embarrassed that my mom cleaned toilets while their moms got manicures. I was embarrassed by your worn-out shoes and your tired eyes and your hands that were rough from scrubbing floors. I never told you that, but from that day on, I started hiding you. Not completely, but in small ways. I stopped inviting friends over, stopped talking about what you did, started making excuses about why you couldn't come to school events. And you noticed. I know you did. But you never said anything. You just kept working, kept building, kept loving me, even though I was treating you like you were less than. By the time I got to college, you'd already started succeeding, but I never told anyone. Never bragged about my mom who built a real estate empire from nothing. Because part of me was still that embarrassed 14-year-old boy. When I met Sienna, I could have told her everything. About your properties, your wealth, your success, but I didn't, because I was still hiding you, still protecting myself from that ugly feeling of embarrassment. And then her family started assuming, started treating you like you were poor, like you were beneath them. And I let them, because it was easier than facing the truth about myself. The truth is, I'm not embarrassed by you, Mom. I'm embarrassed by me, by the son who was too weak to defend his mother, too cowardly to stand up to his wife's family, too concerned with fitting in to remember where he came from. You deserved better. You deserved a son who bragged about you, who protected you, who made sure everyone knew my mother is a queen who built an empire with her bare hands. Instead, you got me. A man who let his wife put you in a cheap dress, who let you move chairs and stock bathrooms, who stood by while you were treated like hired help. I don't know if you can forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve forgiveness. But I promise you this. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be the son you deserved, the son you raised me to be. I love you, Mom, and I'm sorry for all of it. Marcus. I finished reading, put the letter down, and looked at my son through tears I couldn't stop. Baby, I whispered. I mean every word, Mom. Every single word. I know you do. So, can you forgive me? I thought about that question, really thought about it, because forgiveness isn't simple. It's not just saying the words and moving on. It's choosing to let go of hurt, choosing to believe people can change, choosing love over anger. Marcus, I need you to understand something. What happened at that wedding? That wasn't just about one day. That was about 2 years of small disrespects. 2 years of being made to feel invisible. I know. I need you to set boundaries with her family. I'm not asking you to cut them off, but I need you to protect me. If they disrespect me, you speak up immediately. No more staying silent. Done. And Marcus, I need you to stop being embarrassed by where you came from. This house, this modest, humble house, I bought this with my first real paycheck. I could have upgraded years ago, but I kept it because it reminds me that I did the impossible. I survived. I built something from nothing, and that is nothing to be ashamed of. It's not. You're right. It's something to be proud of. We sat there crying together. My son's head on my shoulder, like when he was little and scared of thunderstorms. I missed you, Mom, he whispered. I missed you too, baby. Can we start over? Can we fix this?
Yes, but it's going to take time. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. I know, and I'll wait, however long it takes. We talked for 3 more hours. About everything. About his marriage, about Sienna's changing perspective, about Patricia's silent treatment, about how the wedding had become Atlanta gossip for weeks. People still talk about it, Marcus said. About how you walked out. About what you said. Some people think you were too harsh. And what do you think? I think you were honest. And sometimes, honesty is harsh. Around 1 in the morning, Marcus's phone buzzed. Sienna. Is she talking to you? He showed me the text. What should I tell her? He asked. Tell her the truth. Tell her we're working on it. He typed back, then looked at me nervously. She wants to know if she can come by tomorrow to apologize in person. Tomorrow's too soon. Okay? When, then? I don't know yet. But Marcus, when she does come, she comes alone. No Patricia, no family backup, just her. Because if she's really sorry, she needs to face me herself. Fair. He laughed at 2 a.m., hugged me tight at the door. Thank you for letting me in, he said. Thank you for showing up. After he left, I sat with his letter, read it again and again, and I realized something important. My son wasn't perfect. He'd made terrible mistakes. He'd hurt me deeply, but he was trying, really trying. And maybe that's all any of us can do. Try, fail, learn, try again. 2 weeks later, Sienna came to my house, alone. No designer bag, no perfect hair, just a nervous young woman in jeans and a sweater. I let her in. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where her mother had judged my food, where I'd served meals that went unappreciated. Mrs. Hayes, she started, her voice shaking. I don't even know where to begin. The beginning is usually good. I was raised to believe that success looks a certain way, sounds a certain way, dresses a certain way. And when I met Marcus and saw your house, your car, your life, I made assumptions, terrible, cruel assumptions. I didn't speak, just listened. I thought I was better than you. I thought my family was better than you, and I treated you accordingly. And I'm so, so sorry. Why are you sorry, Sienna? Because you got caught? Because people found out? Or because you genuinely feel bad? She thought about that. Really thought. At first, it was because I got caught. Because I was embarrassed. Because my wedding became a scandal. But over these past 3 months, watching Marcus fall apart, watching my marriage struggle, sitting in therapy twice a week, I realized something. I was cruel to a woman who deserved nothing but respect, and that makes me someone I don't want to be. And your mother? Sienna's face hardened. My mother and I aren't speaking right now. She thinks you owe us an apology. I told her she's delusional. That's when she stopped taking my calls. I'm sorry. Don't be. She needed to hear it. We all did. We talked for an hour. Really talked. About expectations. About judgment. About learning to see people beyond their surface. As she was leaving, Sienna turned back. Mrs. Hayes, I know I don't deserve a second chance, but if you're willing, I'd like to try to build a real relationship with you. Not based on money or status, just based on respect and truth. I looked at this girl, this flawed, learning, growing girl who married my son. I'd like that too, I said. 3 months after that,
Marcus and Sienna invited me to their apartment for dinner, their first dinner party. Just the three of us. Sienna cooked. Actually cooked. Fried chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens, my recipes. The ones she'd refused to eat 2 years ago. I had to call Janet for help. I burned the first batch. We ate and laughed and talked like family. Real family. The kind that's honest and flawed and trying. As I was leaving, Marcus walked me to my car. My new car, a Mercedes I finally bought myself because I was done hiding. I'm proud of you, Mom. Not because of the car, not because of the money, but because you're you, strong, brave, unstoppable. Thank you, baby. And Mom, thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. I hugged my son tight, and I felt it, the thing that had been broken finally starting to heal. My name is Gloria Hayes. I'm 59 years old. I built an empire from nothing. I raised a son alone. I survived. I thrived. I stood up for myself when everyone told me to stay small. And I learned that sometimes love means walking away, and sometimes it means coming back. But it always, always means knowing your worth.